This next agreement is the practice of speaking from your own experience. This is one of my favorite agreements. And what it is, essentially, is the practice of speaking in a way that expresses that you understand that you're responsible for your thoughts, you're responsible for your feelings, you're responsible for your behavior, for your actions, and for your reactions. So I also call owning your experience, what we call sometimes owning your experience, the art of the inarguable. It's the practice of speaking in a way that is so personal to you that it's not really possible to argue, right? I mean, anyone can argue anything, right? I feel sad. No, you don't. Someone could do that. But the idea is that it's not naturally arguable, right? So this looks a lot of ways, right? So one of the ways that it looks is practicing I statements, right? This is my experience. I'm seeing the world this way, right? I'm experiencing the world this way. I'm feeling this. Now, there's all these amazing and creative ways that humans don't own their experience. And so I spent a long while sort of dissecting and trying to understand what those ways are, and I'm going to share them with you now. So one of the classic examples is what I call youification. So youification is when we use the word you instead of the word I. Now, we've done research on this. If you tell a story and use the word you instead of the word I, and then tell the same story and use the word I, there's a few interesting differences. One, people feel sort of like they have to agree often, was what they reported, or reject the person wholesale. There was less space for their own curiosity. There was a less sense of connection. There was more distance, right? Because there's this way that I often will, and many people will create a little distance from the experience by like, when this happens versus this is my experience. So an example is, when you go to a movie theater and there's someone eating popcorn really loud in front of you and you just want to kick them in the head, right? Versus when I go to a movie theater and people are eating popcorn really loud, I get so angry. I want to kick them in the head, right? So just notice in you hearing that, there's some difference, right? And you get to decide. This is just an invitation. So youification. The next one I call straight up blame, right? Blame is, I'm having a feeling, a thought, an experience, and you're responsible. You made me feel angry. When you said that, I had no choice but to feel angry, right? So blame. The next one I call deifying language. So deifying language, I sometimes name it as, let me tell you how it is, Sonny. And this is the type of language that sort of allows us to describe the world as if we were God, right? It's like, the world is like this. Like the classic example I love to give is, life is tough, and people are out to get each other, and they will take advantage of you if they can. There's two kinds of people in this world. There's suckers and there's assholes. And you better not be a sucker if you want to make it in this world. Right? So I'm presenting a worldview as if it was reality. So I could go to the layer of, I experience the world like this and like this and like this, or I could take it down a few notches. And I might say something more like, I feel angry and bitter. And I've tried putting my trust out in the world and it hasn't paid off. And I don't want to anymore. I feel scared, right? So it's a lower level. And just notice the difference. Notice if you feel more connected or more access to me in that, and the difference of those two expressions. So youification, blame, deifying language. Then there's something called labeling or boxing. This is one of the most damaging, I think, in many ways. This is where I tell you what kind of person you are, who or how you are, what you're capable of, or what your motivations are, right? You're this kind of person. You're the kind of person who's just like, you're a little weak-minded. You can't really handle anything difficult, right? Like, ugh. Notice how that lands in your system. right? You're this kind of person. You wanted to hurt me, right? It sort of invalidates whatever the experience of the other is. And I've found that people often expand or contract to the box or the label that people offer them, right? So this actually works in the same way around positives, right? You're the pretty one. You're the smart one. If you tell that to someone enough times, they'll shrink their humanity to fit that size, right? So I really invite you to take on your experience, be like, this is my experience. This is how I experience you. Here's how I'm feeling being with you. Here's what I'm noticing. Objectively, is that what you notice too? Yeah, and here's my reaction to it inside. So I'm really inviting this idea that our thoughts, feelings, and experiences are our own. Now, this isn't the perfect way to relate. It's useful. It's a practice that we use in circling, but there's all kinds of reasons why we might, paint a worldview as if it were a reality or do UFification. They're not wrong, right? But it's simply a practice that I'm inviting you into.